Good afternoon, folks. Joe Crivello here, CEO of Ameridry. Hey, thank you for coming to this article that I wrote regarding insurance riders. This is a very important subject. Being in the restoration business for the last 25 years and working with nearly every major insurance company in the world, we've learned quite a bit. So I wrote this article on, like, for instance, when you buy an automobile, you're buying a new car, the last person you want to get all the information about that car from is the car salesman. The car salesman wants to sell a car, so they're going to tell you everything you need to hear to buy that car. Now may not be true throughout the country. There might be some really good people that tell you a lot of good information, but normally you would go to your mechanic. The mechanic is the person that sees these cars after you buy it. They're the ones that say, hey, this car A, we see that type of vehicle in our shop 10 times a week. Car B, we see that in our shop maybe once every 3 months. So you know car B is a better purchase because it doesn't have to go to the mechanic a lot and get things fixed on it, right? So the same thing with insurance riders. You would want to talk to a mitigation contractor such as myself, my company, or another company, right? We're the ones that go into the house when you have a flood, when you have a pipe break and it totally floods your house. You have a fire in your house and there's smoke damage everywhere. Your contents are charred or smoke damaged. You have mold growing in your attic or crawl space or in a bathroom from a water leak. You have hail damage to your roof. You have storm damage from violent storm, tornadoes, hurricanes, all that kind of stuff, right? We're the ones that go into the house. We are the ones that have to deal with the insurance companies. It's not your insurance agent. Your insurance agent is there to sell you a policy. Most people, including me, look for the best price we can find, correct? So we go out and we try to find the best price we can get for our homeowner's insurance or our business insurance, for our business property. Well, what happens is we put pressure on the insurance agent to sell us the very best deal he can sell us. And a lot of times we don't even want to hear about riders. We don't want to hear that for $15 more a month, we can get coverage for sewage backup in our basement. So let's start there. We do a lot of sewage backups in basements and crawl spaces, right? So for instance, if you have a backup from a floor drain, that isn't necessarily covered on your average homeowner's insurance policy. Sure, a pipe breaks in a wall or under a sink or in a toilet and it floods your house. That's normally covered under general insurance. Sewage backs up from a toilet upstairs, something like that, that's covered. But something that comes from a drain through your P-trap in your floor in your basement isn't always covered without having a rider. And those riders aren't very expensive. So imagine your basement floods with sewage, raw sewage, toilet paper everywhere, it's disgusting, right? And you get home from work, you're gonna go down to your basement, you're gonna watch the football game, you got your popcorn, you got your beer, you got your Coke, or soda, whatever it is, you walk down there and all of a sudden, bam, you smell this terrible smell. You walk a little further, you look at it, and you're like, what the heck is all over my floor? What's that toilet paper doing on my floor? And you walk on it, it's all squishy, right? Well, you've had a sewage backup, right? You call your insurance agent, and he's looking through your file, right? He's pulling up your claim information, and there's silence on the other end of the phone. And then he clears his throat, right? And he says, Mr. X, Mrs. X, I'm so sorry, but you're not covered for sewage backup in your basement through a floor drain. I am so sorry you don't have that extra rider. And then you get mad, right? You're like, hey, I've been paying for insurance for 20 years with you guys, and I've faithfully made my payments every month. I've never missed a payment. What do you mean I'm not covered? Why didn't you tell me about this? Well, in the end, it's our responsibility to do our own investigation on what we might need for insurance, right? We're trying to get the cheapest deal all the time, right? We're trying to do that kind of stuff. But believe me, when you got to fork out $10,000-$20,000 to replace everything in that basement, all the drywall, all the carpet, all the pad, all the drying that goes along with it, all the cleaning, What do you do then when you got to come up with $10,000, $20,000? Now I'm just throwing a number out there. It could be $1,000, right? But usually when it's a good sized basement and the whole thing floods, it's over 10,000, right? Same thing with your contents. Understand when you have an insurance rider for like your valuable contents, you're covered, right? So let's go into this. Your average insurance policy has contents coverage, and it might be $30,000, right? Let's say when you first bought that house, right? You were newly married, you and Mrs. X, right? You spent all your money on your honeymoon. You buy this house, you move in, you have a couch, you have that one ring you bought her for when you got married, and you got a few knickknacks and things like that. It might be worth $10,000. 20 years later, you have several $100,000 in contents in that house, right? You've bought furs, you've bought high-end jewelry, the list goes on and on. You've got high-end scuba gear. You have that camera that cost you $10,000 because now you're an amateur photographer, right? On weekends you go out and you take pictures of the landscape because we live in Colorado and it's a beautiful place. Well, that camera isn't covered. You have $30,000 max insurance on contents. Well, believe me, you want to update your insurance yearly. You want to take an inventory of what you have. You want to talk to your agent. And if you think it's too much for that extra rider insurance, that extra coverage, then look around, get bids, right? But you gotta have riders for your insurance because not believe me, so understand this, flood, in Colorado, in southern Colorado, we got all this rain in May of 2015 and June of 2015. Our normal call volume for flooding from rain in the summer might be 30 calls a week maybe, right? We were getting in May and June, we averaged it 108 calls a day. There was thousands and thousands of homes damaged by flooding from all the rain. And do you know, out of the hundreds of homes that we repaired and dried, that only 4 of those homes out of probably 300 had coverage for flood damage? And the only reason they had coverage, most people don't have flood insurance, right? For natural disasters like a flood, the only reason they were covered, number one, I was able to show the insurance company that the sump pump failed and it was no longer pumping water out, so the basement flooded, right? The second one, this is a gray area, but after talking to the insurance company, like if the water runs across the ground, across the dirt and into your house, that's not covered if you don't have flood insurance. But this one particular house, the water ran across cement because they had all their area cemented around their house, so I was able to get them coverage. It didn't touch dirt. It went across the cement into a window well and into the basement, and they got coverage, right? So 4 out of 300 plus, right, had coverage. So understand, you need to be looking at these riders. I know this video is long. Read the article. It's about 6,000 words. It's very, very in-depth. It's going to save you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars if you understand this and you talk to your agent, right? All insurance being equal, right? Everybody has a rider. Some insurances cover sewage backup on their general policy. You need to do your due diligence and you need to ask, what am I covered for? Look, it's free to call me and ask me questions. We have 25 years experience. We've dealt with thousands and thousands and thousands of adjusters over the years, right? We understand this world because we live in it daily. You might have it happen to you, like for instance, once in a lifetime, right? We deal with this 4 or 5 times a day. Anyway, read the article. Look, if you're looking at the video on YouTube and the article's not going to be under it, it's on my website blog. Just go to www.ameridry.com. That's www.ameridri.com. Thank you so much. Have a great, great day. Thanks.